My name is Marianne Ignace. I'm a professor in the Department of Indigenous Studies at SFU. And this is Chifron Ignace, Secwepemc. And we send you greetings from the Secwepemc Nation to honor the creation of our SFU Indigenous Studies Department new logo featuring the Thunderbird and Wolf in celebration of SFU's host nations, Chumash, Tsleil-Waututh, and other Coast Salish nations. To honor and encourage our students, colleagues, and staff, we'd like to share our own wolf story and its teachings with you. We will start with Ron telling the story, and then I will give a translation, and we'll then briefly talk about what it means in the context of teachings.
Right. This story that I'm telling just the abridged version because of the circumstances we're under. Die day to go dikes van wassen zoeken as dichters as een ander koot is kalm stalge je ook as quest schopt as sweetutles dikes van wassen as een weeks as dichters komt dus hier as die dates nesses zeltens as pechms komt dus hier so lappend te me en het is stalge nesses as pechms een kote zit ook dit la akuka en een weektes en so weetsium zeltens komt dus hier is tracks en weeks weektes ook en as gans het zie as kulkels men ka ook de mellemskleer en jou zie is gans men zie en Kitschus en en haat stichters en mellemskleer hier is het nog te zien is bepens jou zie is gwens een wees toch iets te knemmen is zeltens as metes Gelmoke du musst ook het is gelms en het mis mesask ook een week is el pechmes is gans het zie is een mellemskleer het spechst die aan het zie nesmens is gietschus en haus dichtsos mellemskleer moet ook die mellemskleer jou is juntem de mellemskleer vrienden kenem junt mistakens van Woutlen en stichtsa komt dus in stedit stagekoch jou is juntem de mellemskleer maar kachtin te melammen maar kachtin te melammen jou ook as kachtem te melammen ene junt mistaus nog een dag swat as wicht sie ene te melammen lawn dekka jou is des en tukakul gemiets staus swat nie as wicht belgelgus de zeltens der hat die miamas miaus en weeks is bechems tokus is genoessens is dichtses en letters is itlens zeltens en kote zit toka nesses as elias salga as le jaus is klap is juts ja kan harnesen ke ana salga wilgus de gewilgiem de bechem jaus men nensken jits met hoeks men stem ik melammens as ben waont ja ek wilgus nesses sklap en jits jaus is hoes men dit het ook een spoel sin en stiach slegoheid stem jaus is belmensie en glemins belmens is nie melammens is salga belmen kunstas is die en melammens is salga jaus goheid dit gogoos dat slegoheid stem jaus is mag wilgs as is mellemskleer jaus is oud ilchus machwilchus im jausas de ilchs as I solcha in skiliat lensi enas squachtem de malamans miaus en wees is nickel wilchs de mellemslia miaus is nesmens mellemslia out is dat goed is spelchilchs solcha metlchus and mellemslia wil miaus.
And here's the translation. This story is about Stiljalcha, the story of wolf. There was once a young man. He lived among his people, and they were having really hard times. Maybe they were in an epidemic, or maybe they were just starving because they were having a hard time feeding themselves. So as a group of young men went walking through the woods, looking for some deer that they could hunt, there was Stiljalcha always kind of kept behind. He was a little bit weak, he was a little bit lazy, and he was of course starving as well. But it was on account of hanging behind 100 yards or more of the other group that one day he saw these tracks of a deer that was being followed by a wolf. So he followed the tracks, and eventually, as the tracks crossed the path, he noticed that there was a deer that had been gnawed at. There was almost no meat left on the bones, but because he was so hungry, he took the bones, put them in his backpack, and once he got home and everybody had gone to sleep, he gnawed on those bones. He was so hungry. And then the next day they went hunting again. And again, he saw these tracks that crossed the path. He followed the tracks as he was still hanging behind his fellow hunters. And after a while, he noticed there was another carcass of a deer, and it had a bit more meat on it than the previous day. So again, he took it, put it in his backpack, took it home, and then fed himself with that. And on the third day, again, following those tracks as he was hanging behind, he came across yet another deer that had some meat on it, but that had been gnawed at by a wolf, and he could see the tracks of the wolf. So on the fourth day, again followed these tracks that he saw a deer being followed by a wolf, and he came across a big wolf that was sitting over a carcass of a deer that he had brought down. So the wolf said, "What are you doing here?" And the young man explained how he was hungry, that his people were starving. So the wolf said, "Look, I take pity on you, I'll help you." And he gave him a set of feathers to put in his hair. He told him how to paint himself with ochre, and thus he gave him powers to hunt. After he showed him how to use the ochre and the feathers, he then said, "Look, you can have this carcass of the deer. It's no good to me because with my claws, I've actually broken the pea bag. But you could give it to your people if they're starving." So the young man took it home, and this time he wasn't hogging it, he shared it out. And from then on, he was hunting on his own. He became an expert hunter, and he was starting to then be able to feed the people. And after a while, they were wondering, how come he's got so good at hunting? He was such a weak and feeble and lazy kind of guy. So Coyote Secwepemc was starting to watch him and was starting to figure out he must have something in his medicine bag. And one day, while Stiljalcha, the young man, was having a sweat to prepare himself for hunting, Coyote went into his house and started rifling through his belongings. And eventually he found the feathers, and he found the ochre. And just then, Stiljalcha, sitting in his sweat, could feel that somebody was messing with his medicine bag. and he started to call the wolves. And the wolves descended on the camp and were in a circle around the camp and howling and talking to one another. And as they were doing this, all the deer that the people had hunted came back to life. And they jumped off their racks. They, from being just carcasses, took off and ran away. And Stacholka and his wolf friends and relatives all took off. And he then lived with the wolves, never coming back to the humans. And the people after that did not have an easy time hunting. In fact, they had a really hard time hunting any more deer. He's chooks. That's the end of the story. That was a short version. But this story teaches us a number of things. For one thing, the young man is weak. He gets left behind. But somebody who appears weak or perhaps even lazy to other people, no matter what the reasons are, may in the end redeem themselves, become somebody who can in the end help and feed the people. So never discount somebody just because they're hanging behind everybody else. But the story also tells us about what Secwepemc Coyote did, trying to copy somebody else's powers and knowledge does not end well. We need to develop our own strengths, our own powers, our own knowledge, instead of copying the knowledge and strengths and powers of others. So we shouldn't plagiarize other people's work and knowledge. And I think the wisdom of the story tells us a lot about this. And in the end, the strength that comes from within to succeed. Thank you.